It's 8-bit, you little shit, that's right, punk. Just rage and quit, I don't care, don't give a fuck. It is time for me to go level up. It's 8-bit, you little shit, that's right, punk. Just rage and quit, I don't care, don't give a fuck. It is time for me to go level up. In the 1800s, Nintendo had a bunch of different handheld consoles. You got the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Pocket, the Game Boy Pop Brownies, you know, all the essential gaming hardware. And of course, nowadays you got stuff like the Nintendo Switch or the Wii U, for all 5 people that even remember the Wii U, that both serve as consoles and handhelds. But before all of that, there was that next step in the mid-2000s with the Nintendo DS and some of its spin-offs like the Nintendo 3DS or the Nintendo 2DS, or as I like to call it, the Nintendo Double Ds. And so I figured for a good video, we should talk about some Nintendo DS games, because I actually didn't grow up with the Nintendo DS. No, I was more of a Game Boy boy at heart, know what I'm saying? So the thing about the DS is that it was a double screen, and that's why it was called the DS. And so you had one screen that would be the game, and then you'd have the other screen below that you could work the controls, and there was also this thing that was basically a touchscreen feature that you'd have to touch with this little dildo looking thing. And because this was the 2000s, they were trying to shuffle in the whole internet connection, chat with people online kind of thing.
And remember Marissa chatting with her friend in the other car? That means a molester driving along could see your child in the back seat and start sending messages while you're in the front seat, totally oblivious to what's happening.
Oh, there's a victim afoot. Let me get on the picto chats so I can molest.
He veers off the road and kills himself and everyone because you can't drive with a DS.
Who created this? Who created the person that created this?
But let me tell you something about nowadays. The picto chat things, like these chat room things, this shit's a ghost town on par with fucking MySpace. But what about some of the games themselves? Some of them Nintendo DS exclusives? Well, then you got some classics up in here. Like you got Law and Order, right?
I'd like to call my first witness to the stand. Miss Gale Tornado.
Yep, I noticed that the word percussion I use in my routines is missing.
Awooga!
Oh my god, oh my god, oh, I'm gonna come, oh, oh my god, my TV, oh no, oh, it's blasted a hole in my TV screen.
And because of this game, some weird fetishy shit has come out of it. But for real though, it's a good game, has some really good graphics. And I'm not much of an RPG guy, but I mean, hey, if I'm into an RPG game and I'm not the world's biggest expert on that, then clearly you did something fucking right. Next up is Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, which I just gotta say, I've only played about 2 levels of this, and I wish that they'd just go back to some of the classic Castlevania games. You know, like Castlevania 2, everyone's favorite Castlevania game. Like, just look at some of this shit. You're walking around, you got a whip, you got some bitch following you, and then, you know, just in a couple of hits, then you're dead. Maybe it's because I grew up with the NES games and all, but seriously, where the fuck are some of the hearts sprawled out in here? Next game, Star Fox Command. Well, this sucks. Next game, New Super Mario Brothers. It's damn good. Next game, Legend of Zelda, The Phantom Menace. I mean, it's a pretty good game, really good game, but I'm just gonna say the GameCube version was a little less pitchy. It was a little bit tighter, dog. You feel me? I'm gonna be real with you right now. Sometimes the D-pad and the buttons just straight up weren't working. That's probably because I got it from a guy named Paco who sells biker speed down the street. Next up, Contra 4. Well, I just gotta say, I appreciate them trying to take Contra back to its roots, you know, go back to some of the old school shit like the original NES game and Super Contra on the Super Nintendo. But I just gotta say, it was, again, so it's a little pitchy, dog. Not feeling it. And lastly, Metroid Prime Hunting. Well, I just gotta say, again, I appreciate them trying to take the series back to their roots. They're trying to take it back to the original Metroids, trying to take it back to some of the Super Nintendo games. I appreciate all that, but man, I just gotta say, why are they putting in a first-person shooter game? I'm not the world's biggest fan of first-person shooter games. Unless you with GTA, you better get that shit out of here. And I just gotta say, this game is blatantly ripping off Halo, okay? Come on, it's right there in front of you. They're clearly just trying to copy what Halo was doing. Come on, Nintendo. Trying to sink down to Microsoft's level? What the fuck? One last thing I want to say about the Nintendo DS, and this is one of my main complaints. I mean, yeah, you're able to play some old school Game Boy games and some Game Boy Advance games, but I just gotta say, Does it play Sega Genesis cartridges or Sega Game Gear games? Didn't fucking think so. But overall, the Nintendo DS does hold up. It's got its place. It's got some of its good games. Got a couple bad games in there, but we gotta give it credit. It has given us some really fucking good games. Like Peppa Pig.
Peppa's death.